Okay.
What are we even like? I can't even read it.
You can't read my handwriting?
I can't read your
We're live?
handwriting. Good morning.
Good morning. All right. What's up, guys? We're going live today. It's Mahe and I. We are going to bring Jody in, our lender, at some point. And as we get into more of the market update type of stuff, first cue, there's probably no one here at the second, but this will be recorded. So stack up your questions. As you guys start to come in here, stack up your questions. And for the post recording, put your questions in the comments anyways, because we're going to make a trend. We're going to be going live every week. So put in the comments, hey, could you answer this? Could you answer that? And we'll get it on the next one.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of our recent consults and things we've been seeing.
Okay.
Update on Outer Island partners, so statewide service. Right now, we've always been helping people on all of the islands, but we're modifying that a little bit, maybe. Interest rates and market update, I already talked about that. Talk about selling your home a bit, and whatever questions you guys have. And actually, my wild card is I might have decided that there is a new king of shave ice in Hawaii.
I mean, that's already been decided.
Yeah.
And it's a queen.
Is it a queen?
It's
Yeah,
a queen.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
queen.
yeah,
New queen of shave ice in Hawaii. So that's last. We'll make sure you guys stay tuned for all of these things. Can you let us know when people start coming in? All right. Recent consult. So I did a consult yesterday. I don't do as many of the consults, so it's not, I don't always have these stories to tell. Oh, these buyers looking for this, whatever. But classic tale is someone wanting to stay around $1 million, but they also want this.
Yeah.
And they're like, we could do Kailua. We really like Kailua. And so these particular people, the reason I'm telling this story because it'll be relevant. If we recorded all of our buyer consults and loaded them up, like every question for the most part
would ever be answered.
90-something%. Yeah,
Yeah.
some people have like, oh, I actually have zebras and I want to bring them over, or like where to keep my horses if I want to live in a condo, or like. But for the most part,
literally a question we just had. Like
we've had that question recently, yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most questions have been asked. So, classic case, military couple coming over, and actually in 06, so pretty high up there. Wife is accomplished as well, but seasoned homeowners, they want to stay around $1 million. I think we're gonna go up. So they might end up watching this. So I think we're gonna end up going up, and I shared that. It's not like my ulterior motive, right?
Yeah.
Like I shared, I think we might end up going up. And they like Kailua, as many relocators do. They're open to Salt Lake because of the high school. Their daughter.
I was gonna say, how come? Because that's so wildly different.
The Salt Lake is kind of a wild card in this scenario. Kailua or Mililani is a little bit more of a common conversation. For one, military, Salt Lake, close to the bases, Indo-PACOM, Pearl Harbor, etc. Also, daughter is on like I wouldn't know about this kind of stuff because it wasn't for me, but AP Calculus, a higher level, advanced place, like a higher level AP Calculus type thing, like not just normal.
Yeah.
Like higher level calculus,
we got it.
Next level.
Yeah, not even honors, like advanced placement.
Advanced. Yeah. So, but actually, they said there's only a handful of schools that have this kind of AP calculus, along with some other things.
Yeah.
So, they said, Kailua High School, Radford, and Mililani have it. I think Waipahu and Campbell may as well. But they're not interested in Waipahu and Campbell.
Okay.
Campbell is Eva Beach. For commute reasons and for other reasons, those are off. So of the things that they would be interested in that have the public school curriculum for their child, Kailua High School, Radford, which is Salt Lake area, and then Mililani. And so when they gave me the price point as they're going through their needs, and they said, hey, we used to live in a 4-bedroom, 2,500 square foot or something. I'm probably messing that up. And then we moved to Florida and we were gonna build. Build home, but then COVID happened, kind of messed all that up. Supply chain, we got behind. We sold it back to the developer. We had all our drafts and blueprints. abandoned it all. And so now we've kind of been living in transition out of a suitcase for what seems like too long. So we're considering, not having to wait for military housing. Like we want to get established in a community. And as I hear all these things, I'm like, well, first of all, in Kailua, there pretty much aren't single family homes for $1 million.
No.
If there is a single family home for $1 million, pay attention to the area, pay attention to the quality. It's probably an investment situation, or it's like a duplex, so not a true single family. Like in Enchanted Lakes, there's actually a few duplexes here and there. So I already knew at price point, Kailua is probably out. If you want to raise price point, then we can revisit that. Also, you're just gonna get an older home, right, in Kailua. Salt Lake, maybe worst of both worlds, because like older home, but best commute, right?
Yeah.
Probably an older home, not an updated home, not a recent in the last 20 or 30 years home, most likely. But then there's no beach, there's no mountains, there's no it's not the cooler weather of Mililani. Salt Lake, all it offers really is proximity.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at the three. And then we look at Mililani, and specifically Mililani Mauka. So our brokerage has a listing in Mililani Mauka right now. I went to the open house this Sunday, which was eventful. I may tell that story, I may not. But if we get enough comments and likes, I'll tell that story at the end. I can't even say why. But it has to do with a little bit of drama and this channel. But so I went to this open house and I was like, they should look at this home. So 4 bedrooms, like 1,600 square foot, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath in Mililani Mauka near the rec center. And I said, I think like I'm open to all conversation, but I think everything's gonna be a process of elimination. And then we're gonna end up right back at Mililani Mauka, still above your $1 million, but right back in Mililani Mauka.
Yeah.
And and I'm not like steering them. I'm not telling them this is where you need to live, whatever. But I'm taking here are our needs, here are our wants, here are our emotions, here's our experience. And, I think I'm pretty confident that's where we're gonna end up.
Yeah.
If they wanna increase their price point, because they're very capable with the family that they are, but they're also very smart, and so they don't wanna overextend themselves. Then they'll probably look at Kailua. Husband likes a little more avocado toast and vegan food type thing, so
Mililani doesn't really have that.
Mililani just doesn't, and he already knew it. He's like, man, I love your authenticity from your videos. Like, he was like, I know there's no avocado toast. I'm actually he's like, I'm an avocado toast kind of guy. And then we got into it, and he's like, no, actually, like I'm like a kind of a coffee nerd. And I was like what level? And I was like Ethiopian coffee with a little floral notes, but kind of some earthy undertone. He's like, yeah, that's me.
Okay, well.
Like wine.
Yeah.
Like what is it called?
A sommelier.
Sommelier. I always mess it up.
I'm sure there's a word for that for coffee. I don't know it.
Coffee, yeah. He's that. So I was like, and he was like, I know what you're gonna say. Mililani does not have it. I can drive to that. And he's like, I have my own stuff. One of our clients, Teresa, who closed in Kaneohe, they have like a $4,000 special machine. So they were that kind.
Yeah.
But he was like, but I don't need to live in that. I'll live in the burbs.
Yeah.
And I can drive in and do the coffee thing and like ride my bicycle 100 miles if I want to.
Okay.
To get, vegan creamer and coffee or whatever. But I get it, because I lived in the Bay, and I even like dabbled in that culture a little bit when I lived there in my 20s and early 30s, and I get it. So anyways, that's just the classic story. People, I really like Kailua, but it seems like Mililani is a little more affordable. We love the homes in Eva, but we don't want to go out that far. Classic conversation.
Yeah. But that's always important to get on a consult, because sometimes people don't know. Because then we'll challenge, like, okay, if this is what you really want, let's connect you to Jody so that she can show you, because it's not just about, like, a lot of times we have like a price point in our head just because that's what we think we want to spend, that's what we think we're at for what we can afford. And sometimes that's not always true. So having a more in-depth conversation with somebody who has your financial snapshot and can tell you what, what this price point actually means for you for your monthly payments. Sometimes we're, very capable and we're surprised that, actually we can go higher, or sometimes the other way, sometimes it's lower too. But that's why getting on a consult is important, because
She getting good at selling, huh?
no, I have this conversation like pretty much daily.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
so I actually asked them. I said, "What the million? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Is that a number that because you think you like the cash value of $1 million asset, or did you already reverse engineer the payment at today's rate, or like where'd that come from?" And they said, "Yeah, it's kind of arbitrary."
Yeah.
So that's why I knew. I was like, "Well, you guys probably end up going a little higher." And they're like, "Yeah, and we have it down, etc."
And that's what the challenge is on every, almost every consult is, okay, well, let's see if we're willing to push a little bit more, or if we can, or if that's not really even a reach for us. And that way we can
let's not. Let's
Or
look at
absolutely
townhomes.
not. Yeah.
We looked at townhomes. I said, look, we can stay. So in Mililani, for them, the townhomes I think I would really go towards on Mililani town side, Spruce Ridge Villas, and on Mililani Mauka side, Hampton Court. So it's like, if you're gonna go townhome, one of these two. They also both have around like a $700 maintenance fee. This is what that means in terms of purchasing power. So at a 4% ish interest rate, it's about $500 per month for every 100,000 that you borrow. So $700 something in maintenance fee represents at least 100,000 in purchasing power. And so if you had gotten a home that cost 100 grand more, you could take that maintenance fee, apply it to your home, your mortgage. But then the townhome and condo fans out there, they're like, yeah, but Derek, you don't have to pay for roof, you don't have to pay for outside, you don't have to pay for sewer and water, and these things are true too. So this is to Mahe's point. We like to get into the nuance of it all. That kind of leads us into the market, which I was trying to save more of the market. Actually, I'm going to save the market update stuff when Jody comes.
Yeah.
But they also asked the question, is it a good time to buy? And so I'll share with you guys when Jody comes in how I answered that question. How I answered that question for them. We got a couple people.
Yeah.
Oh, we got two questions.
I don't have the thing
Okay.
pulled up.
I guess I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
So you tell us the questions. I'll repeat it. Mahi can work on getting it up on her phone if she wants.
need
And
the
then what was I gonna say? Stack us up with questions. Stack us up with questions. We can get 100 questions. Even if we don't get to them today, we'll get to them on the next one. What's the first question?
Is it possible to buy a home in Hawaii without selling your home on mainland for the down payment first? Can a contract be locked in contingent on selling your current home to purchase the new home?
Who's that?
Jet Set Kev.
Jet Set Kev. So you said basically, can you offer contingent over here? So do you have to sell your home on the mainland or on the Big Island or whatever before you come to Oahu or before you go to whichever island? This also is a question relevant for you moving from California to Florida or Austin to California. The short answer is yes, but there's a lot that goes into that. So will you qualify for... Sometimes you qualify for a loan without having sold your house. So you don't have to write the offer contingent. You just write a regular offer and you sell your house. Hawaii, it's less so the case here because most people are going up to a more expensive market when they're coming here. And so usually they do have to sell. Or if they bought here, they couldn't get what they wanted because their debt to income ratio, they'd only be able to get a $600,000 place when they're trying to get 1.2 million. So therefore they would have to sell. So is it possible to get accepted? Yes. 18 months ago, there were people that if you were contingent, they just wouldn't work with you. Yeah. The market was such a seller's market. Sellers had all the leverage. We knew, we knew we probably, unless we found an off-market deal, something special, some unique situation.
Or like they were also contingent or they needed a longer timeline to finish the school year. It had to be something
weird.
special.
Yeah, something special. Yeah. We were not going to get you accepted. Now buyers have more leverage. Would I call it a buyer's market? Statistically, when supply, when supply is over 6 months, then that's when they start to call it a buyer's market. We are not there. However, the speed at which the market has corrected a bit, it feels more like a buyer's market. So whatever, semantics, it can kind of be a buyer's market depending on what you're looking at. So if something's sitting for 100, 180 days, then that seller is in a buyer's market.
Yeah.
If a beautiful home in the cul-de-sac in Kailua, priced well, marketed well, shown well, pops up on the market today, they're not entering a buyer's market because there's still limited inventory, and they're gonna get a competitive situation.
Yeah.
So,
And that's another thing to note. It depends because different houses are more desirable here. Different neighborhoods are more desirable. So whether or not your contingent offer would be considered in those areas is really dependent on the specific house you're looking at offering on.
Yeah.
Like Derek said, if it's been sitting for 6 months, if it's been sitting for 100 days, whatever it might be, they might be like, yeah, whatever. I just want to have an escrow going. I want to have something locked in. We're more willing to accept a contingent offer. And I've had offers contingent in the last 4 or 5 months that have been accepted, and we have closed successfully.
Our teammate Lauren, her and I had one contingent. Anyways, long story short, it was contingent. We did everything to make it work.
Yeah.
And we actually fell out. Now they're back on the market.
And that's still true. A contingent offer is still not as strong as a non-contingent offer.
Which is why and I know you know that, which is why you're asking the question.
Yeah.
It's if I'm a seller and I'm not looking at emotions, I want to help this young family, this young local, this young military. By the way, we can't do that because that's. But sellers sometimes think that way. But if I'm just being objective and looking at the outcome, financial outcome, I'm always going to take the non-contingent offer as long as all other terms are just as strong and it gets me just the same amount of money or more.
Yeah.
There's no reason to accept the contingent,
Yeah.
but
But
sellers
we've
are
also
in that
had
need.
contingent offers just be, they're like, oh, everything looked good, but we just don't want contingent. So that's
Yeah.
still a thing now too. It really depends where you're looking. Depends on days on market. And then another thing is, you can sell contingent. But so obviously contingent is less strong, but it strengthens as you go. So if you can
Good
say,
point.
we're already in escrow, or we already have a buyer that's in escrow with us on our for sale property, that helps. And then if you're past your home inspection on that property, that helps.
better.
So the further you get toward
Conditional loan
closing,
approval, better. The final loan
Yes.
approval, signing docs, that's almost not contingent.
yeah.
So great point,
Yeah.
necessary point.
The further you are in your contingent sale, the one that you need the funds for to close on your purchase, the better, the more strong it gets. But in the end, somebody who's not contingent is always going to be stronger, and it can depend on the house you're looking at.
And different state contingencies, and so if you're selling in Georgia, it might be a little different than Hawaii, different than New Hampshire, whatever. But the big difference is home inspections and disclosures.
Yeah.
Depending on loan type too. So if you're selling in USDA situation in the middle of Tennessee, that might be different. But for general statement, without getting too detailed, not listed, thinking about listing, listed, all pretty weak. Past inspections, approved disclosures, moving towards just loan docs, there's a big gap between that. So past inspections, past disclosures, mainly waiting on the lender to do their thing and close, and making sure you don't buy a car in the meantime and finance your mattress and your furniture. If that's just, we're rounding third base, big difference. And that's inspections, disclosures, loan docs.
We got a bunch.
All right, bunch of questions. What we got?
Real quick, so Bill Rader says, Robin's net still there? I don't know what that means.
Bill Rader said Robin's net still there?
If you don't know, we can go.
I'm not sure
I don't know what that means. You
means.
can't bring up the comments on yours?
No, I need the link.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Let's
can
go
text
to-
me the link. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Tito Carlos.
Can't go on YouTube to our channel and it's there?
I guess. I don't know how to get to our channel because I don't watch our videos.
I'll text you.
You certainly do. She'll be like, this person commented. I'm like, how you know? All right, so Tito, what Tito say?
So as first-time home buyer here, I've been watching your videos so much to gain more knowledge in this journey. Thank you for all that your team does spreading the information. Love the energy. I've been on the fence about reaching out. I'm currently saving up money for a 3% down and working on my credit. I'm hoping to reach out by the end of the year, but is there anything I should do till then?
Tito, I mean, what are you going to say?
I would say shoot us an email because I want Charlotte to connect him to
Jody.
Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Go to...
So even if you're not ready for a consult just yet, I would like Charlotte, who's on our team, to connect you to Jody, who will come in after and sit in and give some market update information for you guys. But she can help you get a game plan put together and help you figure out what the best next steps are to prepare you for when you are ready. It's free. It's a free consultation. I would always suggest talking to her because that gives you the ability to have a real plan in place so that you make sure you're doing the right things and taking the right steps toward.
We're in Cam 4? Oh, Cam 4. Inside joke. Shouldn't do that on here. So if you go to coreteamhawaii.com, don't so much pay attention to these numbers and emails, but just go book a call. So you go book a call.
Yeah.
And just fill this out. We have a system, so it prompts our ISA, inside sales agent. Really what that person is someone who speaks on the phone and asks you your basic questions, connect you to lender. Do that now. If a teammate comes onto my team and they're switching, from W-2, from job income to self-employed real estate income, I send them to Jody. I say, you're probably not going to be able to buy for 2 years for 2 tax returns because your income's different now. Talk to Jody now. Let's check your credit. Let's make a plan. Do all that. So you might as well speak to a lender. And if anything, it could expedite it. Because we've had people repair their credit. They're like, oh, it's going to be like a year. And there's you can go to credit repair people and pay a fee for them to coach you. Or you can try to get pre-approved, talk to the lender. And very quickly, in a 15-minute conversation, they'd be like,
do this,
keep this credit card, don't close it, pay off this credit card, sell that truck, blah, blah, blah. That's what you do. Get connected with Jody by going to our website here, book a call, fill it out, and we'll connect you to the lender.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
What else we got?
I would be a second-time home buyer. I probably am going to say this wrong.
Who is this?
Nareda Lopez.
Nareda.
Yeah.
Oh, Nareda. Where?
Right here.
Oh, she's been on a bit recently, I think. Okay.
I would be a second-time home buyer as well as my husband. He has a house in his name and I have a house in my name. We will only sell one and have $80,000 down. Does the second house hurt or help us? That can depend.
Can you put a note, prompt this for when Jody comes in?
Yeah.
Okay.
This question is more of a lender question, but what I think the answer is going to be is depends.
Yeah.
So if you owe 10 grand on that property and the payment is, I'm being outrageous, the payment is $100 per month and you rent it for $2,000, it certainly helps you because your debt to income ratio is improved as a result of it. If you take a loss every month on that property, then it's an issue and it's going to lower your qualifications. So this kind of be Narita. I think it's probably Nereda. Let us know how tell us how we're supposed to pronounce it. What's in the dictionary? They overemphasize Nereda or whatever.
Yeah.
Do that thing. Tell us how you're supposed to say your name, and then maybe we'll do kind of a live pre-qualification conversation when Jody comes in. I think it's just going to depend. What's your debt? What would you rent it for? Etc.
Yeah.
I would never do this, but I've heard of people getting a rental contract. Because your dad could rent them, your cousin, your friend, and put $2,000 down on the rental contract. I've heard of people doing that because that's a good number. However, underwriting does look at the neighborhood and say this is
they will run a rental comp and be like, that's not.
So you can't if you were the type of person to do that,
which I'm not.
You can't be pushing it too much.
Yeah.
What we got next?
Eric asks, not really a real estate question, but how is trade work on Oahu, more specifically auto body? I don't know too much about that because I give no F's about my car, so I'm probably the wrong person.
Yeah.
I ain't seen one. I ain't been to one. I don't know one.
But the car needs some auto body work.
So let me know if you do come over here, because I'll be a.
No. The trades in general, like labor work, I think in the nation, in the world, and we need them. Like people don't want to do this kind of work. In Hawaii, maybe a little more so. Like people are kind of into all the teenagers and 20-something-year-olds kind of into putting body kits, bondo an old car, paint it, all this stuff. But I think if you're good and you're hardworking, there's no way you're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Because it's the competition isn't that stiff. You can make it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lost and confused. Is Kole Kole Pass open to military to use on a regular basis to get from Schofield to Waianae? No.
No, it used to be. It's a beautiful drive when you could, but the roads kind of all bust up. So, and I don't even know if they're allowing people to run through it because they used to do a Kole Kole Pass like half marathon or something. I don't even know if they allow that anymore.
I feel like I would have heard of that if they were doing it still, and I haven't heard anybody talk about it.
You of all people would.
Haven't heard my one boyfriend talk about it who's in the military. Okay.
Yeah, you used to be able to drive through. It's beautiful, but you cannot anymore.
Okay. Maya Kiku, what are your thoughts on the new Nahelea Ho'opili? My thoughts are that it's super popular. They did a small release first, and it was wild because it is unlike our previous condo releases that we've had. I'm saying we, like I work for DR Horton, like
He's just
but
in there
I'm
every
just
day.
there all the time. But anyway, we used to do it. They used to do it by what's the word that I'm looking for? Lottery. Now, this one came out and it was first come, first serve, which we've never had in a condo release in Ho'opili before. And the phones and emails were just unable to be answered at the rate at which people were trying to send them in, which for
And that was
you...
what, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, that was just a couple of weeks ago. And for what that means for you as a buyer is it's really hard unless you can like take off of work and drive over there, because what they wanted to reserve was that you drop off a $5,000 check. Now for somebody who's on the mainland, and I'm like, okay, trying to call, nobody's on the phone. I tried to call all day because I had a few clients who are mainland. I'm like, what about our mainland clients? Like, what do we do? They didn't answer the phones, and finally they had just put an outgoing message that was said, if you're interested, come down to the office and bring a $5,000 check and a current pre-approval.
Oh, wow.
So if you're interested in Nahele, make sure you're pre-approved. It's much easier and faster to update your pre-approval to bring it current than it is to get pre-approved altogether. So get pre-approved. We don't know if the next release is going to be lottery or
feeding
first
frenzy.
come, but if it's first come, it was kind of wild.
Also depends. So a few weeks ago when that happened, it may have been interest rates had trended down in just a slightly positive way. So the market was really hot, and then the jobs report came out, and then the market kind of slowed a bit. When I say the market, I mean the real estate market, but the real estate market and the overall financial and trading market, stock markets are kind of more tied than they were in history. So it also may depend on that. Like if rates are up at 7.5% when this next release happens, then may not be so bad.
Yeah.
But if rates trend down in even a slightly positive way, there are so many buyers on the fence who want to make a move that if they see a slightly positive trend and there's a release, then for sure. Also, like to your point, pre-approval is easier to update than it is to like pre-approval is a pain in the butt, depending on your job. Like for military, easy. Go into direct access, download your LESs, your W, like it's easy. For self-employed income, pre-approval is a pain. Might as well just do all that paperwork now and then update it as needed because the updating is easy. Also, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to run credit. Well, what is credit for? For most people, the biggest and greatest thing they'll ever do with their credit is purchase a home. Our lender can speak more intelligently about this, but I've had this conversation multiple times with her on consults. If you get your credit ran now, and then you get it ran again by a lender, not the boat company and the car company and the whatever company. If you have your credit run, you get a hard credit pull to buy a house, and then 6 months go by and you do it again, you don't like. For most people, it's a non-issue. And if you're right on like the 740 borderline, then talk to the lender about that. Also, your like self-credit check-in thing, because you have the app and it shows you what your credit is, or your credit card company shows you what your credit is, those tend to be slightly higher than when the lender pulls. So like I was like, oh, I'm 800. And it was like 785 or something. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, that's still great. Like, there's no issue. So anyways, don't be so afraid of credit pulls is
Yeah.
my point. I had them 2-3 times in a 6-month period because of my self-employed income was all weird, and we went multiple times. My credit did not suffer in any significant way, and yeah. So all right, what's the next question?
Let's see. Leah or Leah? Aloha, this may be a little off topic, but we're planning on moving to Oahu in a couple of years. I know Trader Joe's is not on the islands, but just wondering about any buzz on stores opening there. No.
If you watch this, if you watch enough of these, and especially older ones for me, it might sound ridiculous, but Trader Joe's was such a part of our routine in California, and I was a lot healthier. But I considered whether or not to move home because of lack of Trader Joe's.
Did you really?
No, it was one of the things. I mean, I don't know. It was a big disappointment. It was like we were moving home despite not having Trader Joe's.
Okay.
You've never lived in a place where you have Trader Joe's.
No, I've been to Trader Joe's many times, and I think it's fantastic, but it's just one of those things that I don't have, so I don't miss. You know what I mean?
It's so efficient because it's small, which is why there's always people like stocking shelves every moment. They're always stocking shelves, whatever. But it's just so efficient. It's Trader Joe's. Yeah, there's nothing like it here. You have to. This is a little extrapolated or whatever, but you just can't have that same routine wherever you are, wherever you live. If Trader Joe's is like you always do your Sunday run and then you send your husband to do their Wednesday run and that's just a normal thing. You just have to live a little differently here. But I think it's worth it for the ocean and the weather and all the stuff. But that Trader Joe's health efficiency is not there.
Oh, Nereida said we said it perfectly.
Nereida.
Yeah. Just because I hate when I don't hate it, but it like always gives me a little.
It's Mahe, not Mahi.
It's definitely not mahi. Not like the fish. Okay. People are like the fish. I'm like, no.
No, it's
No,
not.
not like the fish. Anyway, okay. So sorry, but not really any buzz on the streets about a Trader Joe's coming anytime soon.
Unfortunately.
Derek would know.
I would know. I'd be the first to know.
All right. Hey, you two. Hey, Joshua. What's the better purchase, a house or a condo? My goal is to move to Maui for approximately 5 years. Could change, but that's the current plan. I mean, it really depends on what your needs are.
I think it's safe to say historically for appreciation. So we're just playing Monopoly, and you're going to buy an asset, either a condo or a house. And then everyone's going to go around the board several times, and hours are going to go by, figuratively years. Mm-hmm. The house appreciates at a higher level. Excuse me. Especially because you don't have this maintenance fee that's competing against the appreciation. So, classic example: you get into a condo, and there's 2 condos. One's brand new, and both are brand new, but they have different management associations. This one, they're really invested in keeping the maintenance fees down. They really get a bunch of bids and manage their books well. This one, they're careless, and they're the same identical things. This one, the maintenance fee runs from $500 when it was brand new up to $1,000. This one goes from $500 to $600 over whatever amount of time. This one's competing with your appreciation because the purchasability, the cost, you just can't buy that condo for as much because the maintenance fee is going up. Single family, you don't have to deal with that. You're in control of that. You're in control of how you maintain your home and your capital expenditures or expenses. So single family appreciates more. However, and we just went to town last night. You guys saw I went from North Shore, I went in town. Yeah,
I was like, this guy is in Waikiki right now.
Yeah. So we drove through town. So we went Nimitz. Here, let me pull up the map. Show you guys where we went last night.
Map time.
So we shot a video in North Shore.
We were here.
We're all over here.
We was surfing over there.
And then I went home, and then we went from. So there's 2 ways to go into town, to go and get into the city. We went Nimitz way, so through here. It's kind of a more scenic option.
What? What kind of scenery are you talking about?
Different topic. It's more because, you know, when you're on H1,
Yeah.
it's like buildings, mountains. You're in this like corridor. It's just more open when you go
Yeah.
Nimitz, is what I mean.
Yeah, I got like Ocho Posi.
Yeah, you got the prison. All the homeless guys. But anyways, we went this way. We drove through all the town, like all the way to Waikiki, all the way to here, and then went back this way. And we're just cruising, just hanging out. And so, point being is, if I wanted to live in a condo, that's what I would do. Like because you really can't have the Kaka'aku Ward, Ala Moana, Kapiolani Avenue. You can't have that lifestyle in the single family areas on Oahu. Now, if you want to do like Maui or something, the proximity is a little different, but I think you first just have to go with the lifestyle you want. It's really a lifestyle question. But I do look at everything as an investment. So 2 things. If I wanted just pure appreciation, I would probably go single family without a maintenance fee in the community. And if I'm gonna go condo, I'm very discerning about the association. I look at their history of increases and what their current fees are compared to similar buildings, and I want to pick the good one.
Yeah, and also, am I owner occupying? Am I using it as an investment property for those 5 years?
Good point.
Do I want to have a partnership in the HOA as far as if something goes wrong, they are liable to take care of that roof, that issue, or you know what I mean? Like there's different. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
For, you know.
So when you leave a property and you're gonna, whether you're going from California to Arizona or from Hawaii to New York, you're no longer there. And when you have an HOA, you have a partner in this investment, right? Because they're responsible for the roof, the outside 4 walls, the common areas. And that's nice to have. If you're either going to leave something vacant and or rent it from afar. Now in Hawaii, you have to have a custodian here. Doesn't have to be realtor associate, but you do have to have a custodian, someone here who says, I'll answer the phone in the middle of the night or I'll do whatever. When you leave here and it's single family and there's a leak or there's a roof issue, or whatever, it's just different. So for those reasons, I like condos and townhomes.
Yeah.
What's
All right.
next?
Will Walker, core team is amazing and just closed on a nice condo with their help. Will and Roxanne, we love you.
Oh yeah, Will and Roxanne are dope. Will, we gotta go to lunch.
They're my friends.
I'm gonna bring. We have that effect. Like my team, I started this channel, and then everyone's like Mahe's friend. The way it works is I'm working on business operations and stuff, and so Mahe's front facing, and she's kind of cool.
Like, to be fair, I get to like spend a lot more time with the people face to face, and I love that and I appreciate that. And I know sometimes Derek gets a little jay because he's a social dude too, and he's a friendly guy, and he wants to hang out too. But I probably will deal the most with people, so.
It is what it is.
And sometimes I do forget to invite him to things, and that's my fault, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I hurt you.
Are you recording right now?
Save
That's
that.
a reel.
Save that.
Uh,
Okay, let's see. Max Fowler, y'all are such nice people. Thank you. Olivia Thomas, I'm moving to Oahu in December and would like to find an apartment close to KCC, but also in an area that is less crowded and more green. What neighborhoods would you recommend?
Are you gonna have a car? Because close to KCC but not crowded kind of doesn't exist. Pu'alei Circle, but it's not crowded. Like KCC is just a crowded area. The map. Oh, use the map. He's like, I set up this damn map. Use the map.
And also, like, what are you renting? Are you buying? Like, what's your budget for that?
So when you say apartment, because we understand like what an apartment is officially, I'm assuming you're renting, and you're KCC. So if you're young, I don't know, but
Pu'alei Circle's not inexpensive though.
yeah. So this whole area, so Kapiolani Community College, is right here. And we just did our Diamond Head versus Kailua video, and I talked about like renting to KCC students, etc. Because I had sold a house like right here near KCC. it's not a not crowded area. But if you have a car, so I don't know if she responded yet. If you do have a car, you want to be somewhat close but not feel that pinch. I would go up Wilhelmina or something like go up these mountains. Like if you go here, we drop our guy. Or where's Sierra Drive? Right here. Right here, yeah. So here I'm gonna drop my guy. I don't know. Pick a random place. Like I would get rent someone's ADU or like someone's back house or something like up here.
Yeah.
This isn't Sierra, but I was just
Not an apartment, but if you don't want to be, I mean, if you want a little bit more green, I
there's
guess.
no view. I wonder if there's view right here. Yeah, so you can kind of start to see the ocean. You kind of see like what I'm talking about, like a well manicured home, and these pine trees and the views of the ocean or whatever. We might actually be selling one up here really soon. But yeah, if I needed to be close to KCC, but didn't want to feel like I was in like the land of apartments and kind of grunge or whatever, that's what I would do. But it is just a crowded, expensive area. What we got next?
Calvin Holt. Wait, no.
What were
Oh, there are two Calvin Holt questions. So
Okay.
I'll take the Chipotle one first. No, we don't have Chipotle. There are some that are kind of like that. Like there's that one in Kapolei that's like sort of like a Chipotle, but there's nothing. We don't have a Chipotle.
cannot.
Like it's not the same. But we
It's
have
not
a
the
couple
same.
like trying to be kind of knockoff
Moe's,
Chipotle.
like Moe's, Southwest Grill.
But no, we don't. And then his other question was, are there any condos that do not have HOA fees? And that is also no.
No.
Yeah, that it is what it is. It comes with being part of an association like that. So they
trying to
do.
think of
Some
an
of them will be
exception.
lower than other. I don't think I know of a single one.
So
that is.
like, the answer is no. Like the Mauna Ruin in Hawaii Kai is owner managed. So the owners of it get together and appoint a president and all this, and then don't use an outside, like a third party management company, in affiliation. And so that helps to keep their fees lower, because the people who are managing the books and everything have the incentive to keep it low. But there is a fee. It's going to happen. And that situation's rare. Usually it's Hawaiiana or, why am I blanking? Are we blanking?
Associa?
Associa Hawaii, or these third party
Yeah.
bigger association companies.
Olivia followed up, by the way, if you just want to skip and address that.
What did Olivia say about whether she has a car?
She's renting and will have a car. Yes. Would you recommend Manoa? There's not.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it definitely would. Manoa is nice. It's close enough if you have a car for sure. Manoa is not like a condo type place, but there are a lot of. Well, I wouldn't say a lot because it's just there's not a lot of inventory.
Your friend was living in a townhome.
Yeah. No, not a townhome. It was like a little cottage.
Oh.
So there are some properties that are like multiple little cottages.
Yeah, like an ADU or something.
Yeah, like an ADU,
yeah.
and they'll all be rental units. But they go really fast, and they're not cheap in that
Yeah.
area either. So it would definitely be a good area. I would recommend it if it's something that was feasible and you could get it. But just transparently speaking, I know a few people, just within this last year who have been trying to find a place in Manoa, and it was difficult for them because it's pretty pricey and they have a lot of interest.
So here's less expensive, and right there, as the crow flies, is Palolo, but it is not the same.
It's definitely not the same. Yeah.
Palolo is not Manoa, even though they're right next to each other. So Manoa is this like, what does Palolo mean? Like crazy dirt or something?
I don't know.
I think that's what it's like. Like the soil isn't even as good, even though it's right there next to Manoa. But if it's just needing something that's affordable, Palolo, like same thing, ADU in Palolo. All right, what's next? And then we'll bring Jody in.
Yeah, I missed one. Where was it?
Can you cue?
Yeah, hit her up.
Can you Oh, can you take a home equity loan on mainland home to purchase. Okay, we'll leave that for Jody.
Perfect question for Linda. We're gonna bring Linda in right now. Yes, you can.
We'll let her answer that.
You can get creative.
Yeah.
What's the question? I want to see.
Basically, just that. What I just said. Use that for a down payment.
With the debt. Yeah. So can you take your HELOC and apply your, so it's a $1 million home. Take a HELOC, get $200,000 liquid, use that for a down payment on a home over here. Yes, the answer is yes. One, it can take quite a while because you got to get the HELOC approved, et cetera, unless you already have an open line. Also, that affects your debt to income. You know, so it'd be like, can I go buy a $200,000 investment property and then go buy in Hawaii? Like maybe, depends what's your debt to income ratio and what's your overall financial situation.
Is it easier to purchase a home there if we don't purchase the land? I forget what that's called. We are hoping for a multi-generational home for me and my mother's comment. So I think you're talking about leasehold. And no, it's not easier. It's also, if you're thinking like,
well, it's actually the opposite of multi-generational.
Yeah.
Because the lease for the land expires, so you own the structure.
She probably means like her mom lived with her and they're looking for like a bigger house for the multi-generational existence.
Oh,
but
not wealth, generational wealth.
But on the other side, what Derek is talking about, if you're, I mean, it sounds like you're somebody who like cares about your multi-generational family, ohana unit, and if that's the case, leasehold property is usually not recommended for you because you cannot build equity. It is the type of property that does the opposite of what you want it to. It depreciates every year. It goes down in value as the lease gets shorter. Also, it's mostly, if you're looking, it's mostly like condos, things like that. The other type of leasehold we see here is Hawaiian Homestead, which is Department of Hawaiian Homelands here, which is another type of leasehold we see here, which we'll see for single family homes. That is specific to Native Hawaiians. You need to be at least 50% blood quantum to qualify to even get on that list, and which I'm not, so I don't qualify to be on that list. So,
and I don't like it. So to close this one up, I don't like Hawaiian Homelands for Hawaiians, and Hawaiians are like, bro, what? I want you to build generational wealth. I want you to make money over time. So is it a good option for some? Is it for auntie who's 60 years old or 70 years old and like, I can't afford this, I'm on fixed income, and if I want to buy something and own 4 walls, it's going to have to be Hawaiian Homelands or a leasehold property for the rest of life. And yeah, you're in control of your asset for that amount of time. But if you want to build generational wealth, make money over time, leaseholds are a depreciating asset because your length of lease on the land is shortening and shortening and shortening, causing it to be more and more of a liability because what's that new lease going to look like? So I don't love it for Hawaiians or for anyone because I want you to make money. Like I look at real estate less as like an emotional thing, although I do understand that. Like I cried when we got our home because I don't come from much, right? But at the same time, I want you to make money, and leasehold's not the best situation for that. So only if you have to. Okay, get out of here.
Joseph East, hope to see you guys at the Real Producers Kickoff tonight. Enjoy your guys' content. Keep it the great. I didn't even know there was one tonight.
I was gonna tell you.
Oh, see, okay. All right, bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna let Jody's here, so she's gonna come and help, do a market update, answer some of your questions that are best suited for a lender. So I'm gonna scoot and let Jody, I'm gonna get out and let Jody come talk to you guys.
Okay. While they are getting
Can I use my phone to work while you guys are doing this or what?
No.
Give me my phone, I need to work. Somebody gotta work.
Okay, we'll go do the mic thing. I'll give you your phone after.
Okay.
This is how we are.
Oh my God, how do I?
Just move the camera. Okay, so I'll talk about outer island stuff because we've been getting more and more outer island, Kauai, Big Island, Maui. We've just moved the camera.
No, I don't want to.
So we've always had partners that we refer to on these other islands. I can't go too deep into it, but we are building our actual team out on those other islands. I have agents who I'm interviewing on a couple, including Maui. And so instead of finding the right fit, we have a number of Maui agents that we could refer to, and we do. We have a number of Kauai agents that we could refer to and do Big Island. We have our favorites, but we're always looking for the right fit. For a lot of people on this channel, the right fit would be Core Team Hawaii. So what does that mean differently for you? So a classic us referring someone is saying, hey, Derek, this is our personality, our style, these are our goals. Refer us to who you think will be the best fit on Big Island. And we still do that and could always still do that. But the other option is if we have someone who's trained by us if the transaction is overseen by us, if our lender is involved, because we, do loan or they do loans throughout the state. You get a core team Hawaii experience through the entirety of the transaction, and so if you have your outer island needs and you want to be referred to someone and or work with our partners that we're ramping up, then hit us up for outer islands too. Jody's here, so I have a couple other things that we can talk about later, but since Jody's here, let's talk a little bit about your lending questions and the market. So what was Nereida's question earlier?
Oh, I sent it to you in text, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have it.
Was it, it was about,
It's a
what was
great
it?
question.
What's the question again?
Second home.
Oh yeah, because they have two homes, so will it matter? So basically what I said earlier was, it depends. If it cash flows amazingly well, if you owe $10,000 and you make $2,000 or whatever, then yeah, it just improves your DTI. If you have this debt, this large amount of debt, and you're taking a loss every month as a result, then it kind of more hurts. That's basically it. But would you want to elaborate?
The only thing I would want to elaborate on is that there's a difference between my mortgage is $2,000 and we're making $3,000 in rent. That translates differently on the tax return.
Okay.
Schedule E. So let's say you file your Schedule E. Again, boring numbers stuff, but you file your Schedule E, or your tax person does, because a lot of people I'll ask and I'll say, hey, out of curiosity, like, what is this $12,000 expense associated with your rental property? And they're like, wow, I don't know. Like, I don't do that. That's my tax person.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's this formula on the Schedule E that basically we have to follow if you've owned the property for more than a year. And so I don't care, not that I don't care, but it doesn't matter if you're getting $3,000 a month and your mortgage is only $2,000 and you're like, obviously I'm net positive.
But that's a tax haven. So every time I go to Costco to buy X, Y, and Z, I put it on that house and I make it so the house takes a loss. Is that where we're going?
That's where we're going.
Yeah, because, as a real estate professional who owns a couple properties, my tax person and I strategize these things. And then I go to Jody, I want to buy another house. And she's like, why you make it so you looks like you make no money then, right? So,
yeah, and then the other scenario, which I don't think is this scenario, but it's really a good topic, is the short-term rentals. So some people are like, oh no, like I've been doing this for a year now, and we're making like $8,000 a month, and then I have to explain to them that the rules for a short-term rental, unlike a long-term rental, is that I need to see that on your tax returns for 2 years before I can use the income.
Yeah, got it. All right. All right. What did we have another Jody question earlier?
Yeah.
I thought.
Jody, the one we just read.
Oh yeah, there
Which
was one. It was a great question about, is it okay for me to take equity out via like a home equity line of credit on my mainland property?
Yeah.
And then use it to buy non-contingent.
So can you test my knowledge?
Go
So
for it.
So what I said is basically you can, one, make sure we allot the amount of time. Two, it's gonna change your debt to income because you're increasing debt. So kind of like in Hawaii we would say, if can, if no can, no can. But if you have enough money and income to support that you take out another 200 grand in debt, your DTI is still there, then you can just allot for the amount of time, right?
Yeah.
Is that basically it?
That's basically it. It's
Okay.
really important for the lender to know about it, because I've had cases where it's like, oh no, we have 200K. We have 200K available to utilize for this purchase in Hawaii, and then we end up getting a little deeper in, and they're like, oh no, we're pulling it out of our line of credit.
Okay.
Then
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, oh wait a minute, because we did
Yeah, yeah.
calculations without that
Yeah.
payment.
Yeah. Mahe's whispering to me. I do have your phone, but you can't have it.
My phone.
No.
Give me my phone.
I'm trying. I gotta look at the comments.
Jody had it up on her thing.
That was a screenshot.
It wouldn't let me in.
Big eye. No, I'm just kidding. Kenji can tell us the question.
Give me, Derek.
What?
Give me my phone. Please.
I saw Big Island Bird. What question? Pick a question so we can cover another one. Also, while Kenji's looking up the question, general market update. So I got quite a few. So I got quite a few comments after last time we went live, like last week or whatever. They're like, I saw you and Jody, and you guys said the future's bleak, and so we want to change our strategy. And I was like, oh, thanks for watching and adjusting. Also, since then, some banks have closed. Like some banks have been seized, and that adds some fear, some speculation. Every realtor is like a financial expert now who knows about everything.
Oh yeah.
I would say a lender would, especially an experienced one, would be should know more about that than agents typically do. But I went to you the other day in your office, and I was like, following these bank seizures, it seems that the Fed is trying to instill confidence back into the economy and say, we're not going to, I know we were going to the government. I know we were going to like raise rates and fight inflation, whatever, but now we're not going to. Don't worry, the banks are fine. It's no big deal. What's the truth, or you don't know, because you don't know what strings they're going to pull in the future, right? So we can't have a crystal ball, but like what's happening today, this week, because we seem to be in a day-by-day, week-by-week market.
We are in a day-by-day. However, it is happening the way that I expected it to unfold, which is I don't think the way that most people expected it to unfold. So a lot of people are like, even to the degree of all these flashy clickbait articles saying that interest rates are plummeting and that the Fed is no longer going to increase interest rates because there's no way they could possibly do that when the economy is about to topple over and grind to a halt. And so that's not happening. Okay? It's not happening. It's not going to happen. The unemployment data came out yesterday, and more unemployment data came out today. It was lower than expected. Now, even though this is a metric that I've talked about historically that is not necessarily an accurate metric, at the end of the day, it's a metric that everyone pays attention to and that decisions are made based on. So unemployment was lower. There's less unemployment than we expected. So therefore...
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So all the like Amazon's calling back all their employees, and that's all.
Well, and that's why I'm saying there's the reality versus the metric, right? But at the end of the day, decisions are made off of this metric.
Okay.
And so that's on the one hand. On the other hand, there's been some housing data with new builds and housing starts, mortgage applications, all stronger than anticipated. Right? So none of this supports an economy that's grinding to a halt.
Okay.
And so mortgage interest rates are not plummeting. They did improve. They improved. That's a for sure.
To the point, just to give you an idea of how we do business, Jody called me in and was like, hey, John and Jane Doe, they locked in at this rate. And unfortunate because they were shopping here. Things went up. Now, if we pivot, we can get them here. Let's devise a plan and let's talk to them, etc. So these are things that we're gonna do if at all possible. Like she doesn't have to come to me and say, hey, we can get our clients a better rate. Like we're almost to closing, but that's what we do. So yeah, rates have improved a bit, like a little bit.
Oh yeah, they've improved.
A little bit.
They've improved. I mean, that's a for sure they've improved, but they're not downward trending. So if we have to talk about trends, which we love talking about, it's not downward trending. It's nowhere near downward trending. It's upward trending, right? So the EU came out today and they raised their basis points by 50 basis points today. And they also have banks that are in jeopardy with everything going on with the Swiss bank. So at the end of the day, fundamentally, our banking system is pretty rock solid. Our banking system, and I'm not talking about these niche banks.
Well, banks had to get bailed out in 2008, right?
That was different. That's not a bank. That's not FDIC.
Okay.
So these are corporations.
Financial institutions, but not banks.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And these smaller ones like SVB are more. It's a niche bank.
They're not very diversified.
It's like
all these startups.
Very like we go here for startups and tech startups specifically.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's
almost
singular.
like you could is it fair to say that they behave more like a fund than a bank because they're so niche? It's like, because if a mutual fund like crashed, there'd be like, okay, I wouldn't even make the news. but I'm not saying they are a fund, but in
It's way more like a fund.
than like Bank of America.
Yeah, it's
right?
not like a normal person is like, I'm gonna go open up a checking account with SVB.
Yeah.
We're talking millions of dollars of these small startup businesses.
And then everyone goes there for whatever reason because they're bullish on lending to these people,
Right.
etc. So like if Warren Buffett fell out of prominence and like lost everything, it would be news, but we wouldn't be like, oh, America's ending.
Right.
But because we have 2008 bias, recency
Right.
bias, and we're not all financial experts, we go, oh, bank closed, bad, oh, end of the world, right?
Right.
But it's not the case.
It's not the case.
Okay.
It's just not the case.
That's a good way to put. I'm glad that we had this conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so you have a hard stop in a couple minutes. What else would you want to update people with regarding the market or loans or anything?
I would just say that now's the time to pay attention to the market. I mean,
Okay.
especially if you're not in a rush, that's ideal.
Okay.
Be ready, so be prepared in case that property comes up. But now's the time to kind of like sit back and pay attention, study the markets, get together with your agent, figure out in the neighborhood specifically that you're looking at, see where the prices are going, see where the houses are closing, keeping in mind that it's still a leading indicator because
I'll always buy a house as long as I'm writing the right offer, getting it for the right price, and certain things are in place. My marriage and family life is stable. My income is predictable enough and stable enough. Less so as a self-employed person, right? I have the staying power and want to be in that market long term, and I believe in that market. So like if all these things exist, I'll buy in 2007. Like I'll go back and I'll still buy in 2007.
I bought in 2007.
Right. Well, you didn't have the hindsight, but
Right.
it worked out, right?
Yeah.
And so, quick thing, I said I was going to save this for when Jody came on. My consult
I
yesterday.
have till 11:30.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay. So my consult yesterday. Would your team agree that you have till 11:30?
Yeah.
Okay. My consult yesterday, they said, is it a good time to buy? And that's kind of what I not resort back to, but I go back to is it was always I didn't have the knowledge when I was answering this that they actually bought in 06, went through 08, 09, 10, and they sold in 16. So on my team, you have to train and learn kind of verbatim. You could make it in your own words, but pretty much learn all the principles of Derek's classic 2008 analogy.
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is, if you bought in 2007 or 2006, like these people, if you bought in 2008 before the big cliff is a better example. Like you bought 1 quarter later, you're like, oh my God, the world's ending, banks are closing, financial institutions are closing, etc. At what point was this island back to the same value? So it depends on the neighborhood. So like Manoa, a lot earlier. Eva Beach, Eva, Kapolei, 2014-ish. So that's about 6 years. If those people kept their home until 2021, they're geniuses. They're worth $1 million, And so if it's 2007 and your family life, your employment life, your money, you have the staying power and the desire to stay in this market, and you believe in this market, which I think people should, and you could take a loss for a few years if things went down at the time you wanted or needed to exit, then I still want to buy. I still behave that way with my money and my future investments. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, Derek, I appreciate that. I appreciate the nuanced analogy. We bought it this time. We made it through the winter. We sold it this time. We believe in real estate in markets like San Diego and Hawaii, which they had bought in San Diego, I believe. So that's the answer to that. Is it a good time to buy? Yes, if everything's right. Was it ever a bad time to buy in 2020 during COVID? Well, yeah, maybe, because if you had to exit, even with in 2020, if you had to exit 1 year later, you got lucky,
Yeah.
and it worked out really well. But most people, I'm still not gonna say, hey, I gotta leave Hawaii in a year. I want to exit in a year. Go buy. I mean, that's just too risky.
It's too risky.
You have to have the staying power.
Yeah.
The risk is not worth the potential reward. So the answer is pretty much the same. It's never going to change. I don't think in 50 years that conversation is going to be much different. And that goes the same for most markets as well. I have more confidence in Hawaii's market than most long term, but also what are you trying to do? You're an investor trying to do a cash flow play. Ohio might make more sense for what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I like assets like Hawaii. I don't want a bunch of $50,000 houses. Usually ends up being a pain.
Let's go Kevin and JN.
Kevin and JN. Forgot to add, I'm a vet. Yes, Marine Corps. I've never used my VA benefit.
Before that. The one before that.
Oh, okay. I retired just under 2 years with a state pension, no debt, plus Social Security, and my medical is paid with around $200,000 down. Would I have trouble buying a condo without a conventional job? Oh, okay. So talking about an income thing. So
State pension and Social Security?
I forgot to add, I'm U.S. Marine Corps vet. Do you have a disability rating? What's your rating if you do? But no, I think a condo, we're gonna be able to get you a condo because with $200,000 down, there are like $300,000 condos. Like, depends what level of condo. A $2 million condo. But if your fixed income is gonna be Social Security,
Pension.
state pension, do you have that Marine Corps? Were you 20 years Marine Corps? And what is your disability rating with the VA? So really, you're asking. It depends on what your total income per month is, right?
Yeah, and it depends on your price point.
Debt, price point, credit, etc. But it sounds like it's going towards very doable. FHA rates appear to be lower than conventional. Can a well-qualified buyer use an FHA product, 800 plus score, and 50% down for the rate?
For
Good
the
question.
rate, it's a great question. And actually, I was going to tell Derek to do a video on this as well
Okay.
because I've been seeing it all over Instagram. And people are pushing you to go FHA because of the lower interest rate. So right now, it's about 1% lower than the conventional rate. And so, yes, that is appealing. However, there is a private mortgage insurance monthly premium and an upfront funding fee, which gets financed into the loan. No matter what, you could be putting 80% down, and you are still going to have that private mortgage insurance monthly, and you are still going to have to pay that upfront funding fee. So what I do for people, a lot of people come to us and they're like, we want FHA. And so obviously my intention is to ask
Because
the
the
question.
rate, usually it's like they're looking for that rate.
Sometimes they don't know why. They're like, someone told us we want FHA.
Oh,
so
okay.
sometimes they don't know
Okay.
why. Sometimes they know it's because it's a lower rate.
Yeah.
But we will always prepare a conventional scenario along with an FHA scenario and talk about the cost-benefit analysis associated with it. But when you're coming in with 50% down and you're having to pay private mortgage insurance and an upfront funding fee just for 1% lower, that sounds a little crazy to me. We can use some of your large 50% down payment to buy down into a lower fixed conventional rate, and now you don't have that funding fee that you added onto the loan, and you don't have that private mortgage insurance.
Okay. I think we're gonna do one more question or so and then wrap it up. But if you're watching this after the fact, you're watching it now, stack up your questions. We'll answer them in the future. We love questions. Big Island versus Maui. I would really want that conversation since she lived Maui for so long. How about solar on townhomes like in Eva? Your association has to approve it, but solar, there's a big solar gold rush coming. Everyone's getting solar right now because new tax credits approved, whatever. I always have referrals for you. I might even step my foot into the solar thing on the side a little bit just to give people quotes and stuff. Not me. Meet people. They get the quote from the other people. More to come on that. No disability rating studio, living at golden years. For one, I would say go get that disability rating. If you have tinnitus or anything, like get a VA advocate. Yeah.
Maybe Natoya's?
Natoya? Where's Natoya?
Hi, I don't know if this question was asked, but wanted to
Natoya, I don't know this question to ask, but wanted to ask, is there anything Canadians need to know before buying?
So
That was
much.
more of a you question.
So much. So if
International.
yeah,
People coming internationally, yeah.
if you're not a U.S. citizen and you have not filed U.S. tax returns for the past 2 years, then your loan options are a lot smaller. They're still totally there, but we're looking at a minimum of 30% down. And sometimes we have to produce or create something called a non-traditional credit score. So if you're early on in the plan to purchase, then I would say definitely go get a credit card so that you can generate a credit score. And when you generate this credit score over the 12 months, then now you can already say that you do have a credit score. If not, then yes, we're talking about a minimum of 30% down and a slightly higher interest rate than standard.
Okay, cool. Also, maybe FERPTA. So if you aren't buying here and moving here, we have a withholding. We call it a tax, but there's HARPTA and FERPTA, and this applies to everyone. So if you are domestic, if you live in the U.S., you're a U.S. citizen, and you buy an investment, you don't live here, and then you go to sell it, it's a 7.25% withholding.
Yeah.
7.25% withholding on your capital gains percent. It's 14 even or 14 and for FERPTA?
14.
14 even. It's like 14% withholding if you are non-U.S. if you're international. And so if a Japanese person comes and buys a condo and then makes $1 million and sells it, there's going to be a withholding. Effectively a tax. It's just not officially a tax. So be aware of that too.
Yeah, that's so important to figure out your exit strategy.
Yeah.
Because that's, money you're not going to get.
Yeah.
So, and
Dude.
then 1031 exchange.
Okay, what about it?
There's a rumor. They're trying to take it away.
So that's a whole separate thing. Biden's administration tried to say increase capital gains and take away 1031, but too many people with too much money.
Yeah,
it's not
going
going
to
to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think
either,
it's virtue signaling. I think we're trying to do this for the people, like wealthy people are bad, but I don't think, at least not anytime soon. Dude, come here. Go under the wire. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. This is my son Duke. He watches YouTube pretty too much, yeah.
What's your favorite YouTube? What's your favorite YouTube
Chocolate.
channel other than Core Team Hawaii?
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Do you watch that? He just told me about Mr. Beast this morning. I was like, you watch that? I gotta check it out, make sure it's appropriate. Is Mr. Beast appropriate?
Borderline.
It is, huh?
It's entertaining.
Okay. So I wanted to close it up, ask you a couple questions, Duke. We had Ululani shave ice last night. Is that the best?
Yes.
Was that the best you ever had?
Yes.
Better than Rec 7?
Yes.
Okay. So we always like to bring it up just as like a fun, jovial thing. Have you ever had Ululani's?
Not yet.
It's good.
Where is it?
So it's a Maui shave ice place. But
Restaurant.
Restaurant, whatever. they have it in Waikiki now on Kapahulu.
Oh.
More towards like Mauka, Kapahulu. But it's like right near Rego's, the Spanish and Italian place. But it's good. I was like, wow, it's good.
Better than Wyola's?
It's better.
Better than Wyola's?
I don't think he knows Wyola at that level.
Oh.
Better than the one in Waikele, Duke? Okay, last question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. You're on YouTube, sit up. Do you like living in Mililani?
Milani,
How come?
I like it here and the weather's good.
Yeah, what about the rec centers?
Good too.
we
Why?
went this morning and played basketball at the rec center, right?
Yeah.
Would you want to live in Waikiki, where all the hotels are? How come? I remember when we went there, he goes, when he was younger, he said, how come there's a lot of bad people in this village? It was just
I did?
Yeah. It was like, wow, this place seems more dangerous. All right, you want to say anything to YouTube world before we go?
No.
All right, Shaka's with me.
Say, feed me, Dad.
Oh yeah, I didn't feed him breakfast. I got him snacks. We got it. I gotta go get him breakfast. All right, we'll go lunch now. Bye guys.